Awesome fish.
See, the town leadership is in caucus.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. We can't go anywhere without you. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to everybody that is here. Gosh, we're just 1 week away from Christmas. Can you believe that?
Please don't say that out loud.
And so I imagine everybody's going into screech mode here pretty soon, whether they're going to be here or with their families or traveling. But I thank you all for attending this, which will be our last meeting of this year. And I just, a little bit of reflection, it's been a really good year. Been a good year from a lot of respects. With our friends from TI Coastal, we got a beach management plan approved.
Yes.
And boy, did we kind of work on that a little bit for about 1.5 years. But we can talk about that a little bit more in the agenda. That's a major accomplishment. And there are many other things that we have done along the way. But welcome to you all, and I hope you have a great holiday coming up with your family and friends. And I was getting ready to ask Rochelle if there are any public comments.
Sorry, we're having a multitasker around here today.
That's fine. And I see Mr. Broadhurst just drove up, so he'll be joining us in just a second. So thank you all that have come. John Best, he got on the airplane this morning about 5:15, changed his trip around, and Peter Knowles just came back from Costa Rica, which we all want to go with him next time. We've all otherwise been very busy and lots going on. So no public comments. And I guess the first item here is take a look at the agenda. And
Hey,
see,
I'm sorry.
there he is.
Everything always happens at the same time.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, Ed. Come on in here. We were just looking at the agenda. There is one thing that, let's see, board management task team is on the agenda already, so there doesn't need to be a change there. Does this agenda look good for you guys?
Motion to accept the agenda as written.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Like sign, no. Other question is, conflict of interest. Does any committee member have a conflict of interest concerning any item on this agenda?
Nope.
No. Very good. And the next thing is the approval of the minutes from our November 18th meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I like sign. Okay. The next item is chair and vice chair selection. Any nominations for a change or nominations for chair?
I nominate William Snyder for chair and leave the vice chair the same, please. Is that all right?
It's
good to me. Everybody okay with that?
So you have a nomination for chair and vice chair.
If we can do it at the same time.
I'm fine.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We want you as quick as possible. No discussion.
Thank you all very much. And I like that.
Yeah, well.
Well, okay, well, thank you all very much. So we had it, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay. So here we are, another year, and I just want to take a minute to say thank you all for allowing me to work with you guys and gals and this town. I really feel like I learn a lot here. And that's one of my big takeaways. I get to learn a lot and hear a lot. And it is one of the, to me, pretty pivotal to the success of our town is maintaining our beach and waterways. So thank you for this opportunity. So, TI Coastal.
Sure.
Like, I know this off the top of my head.
Appreciate you guys, having us here again to address you. As you guys know, we had the CRC meeting last month and Chris did a fantastic job presenting our BIS plan. It was very well received. I think it was called enviable, it's an enviable plan by several of the CRC members. So very happy to have that, approved unanimously. And that document is good to go for the next 5 years. There is a process of renewing it every 5 years to make sure that we're doing what we need to do with continuing with the funding sources, the continual upkeep of the beach. But it has basically allowed the static line to go away, and the pre-project line go away, and everything is now measured from the seaward line of vegetation. CRC is presenting a hybrid vegetation line that will be a newly adopted line. It's based on historical locations of the vegetation line. So that would be something to kind of keep our eyes on and see how that is adopted for the town. But looking at it, it did not have very negative impacts for the oceanfront community in Topsail.
Does our line, does the board have to vote now on changing from the vegetation line to our line, or had they already done that? Is that already a done deal?
Yeah, so from the state's perspective, everything is done. It automatically goes to now the seaward line of vegetation where they measure the 60-foot setback. The town implemented construction line was voted on in the previous commissioners meeting. It's adopted by the town. So everything should be in place. We wanted to make sure we had that line in place because as soon as the BIS plan was approved, that the 30-year plan was approved, then the static line was automatically, pre-project line was automatically.
Is it already in effect, or does it have to be filed with somebody, or before it goes in? Is it now
It's now in place.
in effect?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Can I? So the coastal construction line that we did, which is the line, is the seawardmost line of construction for houses or decks associated with the house. So anything wider than 6 foot, if you go perpendicular to the ocean, it's considered part of the house, even if it's separated by an inch, like some of the people work to get around the 60-foot setback. The coastal construction line is in place. It was voted on by the board. It was put into the zoning ordinance. That's right, Christina, it's a zoning ordinance.
It is.
So it's zoning ordinance. So what happens, that is the most restricted. It is much more restricted than what the 60-foot setback or the hybrid setback line that the state will implement. So when someone is going to build or rebuild, the planning department zoning within the town will be the most restrictive. They can get a camera permit, but that doesn't necessarily mean they get a building permit from the town. So the town will be the more restrictive of the situation, and it's in most cases by almost 100 feet. So it's it does keep the current building line, the sight line in place. Places that we didn't have a sight line, like the very south end, that's taken care of as well, and that's starting to get built out. Those 18 lots down there, all that's being taken care of.
Thank you.
So following up on the approval, sorry, no questions on that, from the board. Next steps for us is, in association with the 30-year plan, is to now start working towards the long-term permit with the state, to obtain hopefully a 10, 15-year permit, however long they'll let us go. I think that we might be able to go longer than that. Just have to check with what the current regulations are, is how long we'll issue a permit. And with that, there will be a certain number of maintenance events we can do under that permit. And so what that will let us do is you'll still have to file for a minor permit if you want to go to construction and do a project. But that minor permit timeline is more of a 30 or 45-day approval period versus the 6 to 9 to 12 month period that a major permit would take to get through the system. The Corps does not have anything super similar to that, but they will probably defer to what the state is doing and allow us to continue. My communication with them about a year ago, from what I can recall, is they don't issue a 30-year permit from the Corps of Engineers. But if the state is allowing us to do those maintenance cycles, it should be pretty easy to get that Corps permit too. Our idea with the 30-year permit with the state is to look at a management area for the inlet and channel system. So right now, everything's kind of locked in place. This is the channel, this is where it's gonna stay. We want to be able to have the flexibility to have more adaptive management and work with nature. So if a channel naturally wants to be 150 feet away from where we dredge constantly, then we want to dredge in that area to bring the longevity to the project. You want to dig a channel and have it shoal right in and then open up further away. So we want the ability to dig the same dimension and same depth of channels that we have permitted, but the orientation of them is not locked in stone like it is right now. So that's kind of going to be our goal going forward, is to give us a little bit more flexibility on the actual position of the dredge channel. Not looking to modify widths or depths. I think those are pretty good, and they've proven to be pretty effective dimensions. But look at working with nature a little bit more instead of having a set channel placement for the, primarily the inlet, the connector channel, Topsail Creek areas where they kind of all come together. And look at that as a holistic approach and kind of a little bit more flexible in their alignments.
Have you done this modification of the permit anywhere other towns and been successful? I mean, is it a big deal or?
No, it's something that CP&E did down at Hatteras Channel. They did a presentation on this at Byways, but they did a management area for Hatteras Channel coming out. And it's within this polygon, they can kind of dredge, which makes the most sense. So it's limited to an overall area, but inside of that, where the channel historically kind of migrated and meandered, you're allowed to kind of fit your channel to the best fit deep water. So it's something that's implemented there, something we're looking at doing at the north end of Figure 8 Island. So there's precedent for it happening in the state. We won't be the first ones trying to fight for this large management area, but I think it makes more sense to have the production.
So just to follow on to that, who do you go to ask about that or to present that? Is it Army Corps of Engineers or is it?
No, it would be through the state permit. So it would be with our major permit coordinator. Likely Heather Coast is my primary contact. So I'll start discussions with her, but it'll be like any permit, there'll be a one-stop pre-coordination meeting where we kind of present our overall thoughts of what we want to do for the permit. And it gives the agencies a minute to look at what we're proposing, think about it and provide comments before we actually put the permit in. So if there's something that we say we want to do this and put it in sheet pile along the edge of the inlet, keep it staying right here, they can be like, no, you cannot put a sheet pile in. So you get those ideas fleshed out before you actually apply for the permit. It's supposed to streamline everything. So it'll be, before we actually have that meeting, there'll be some internal discussions and emails back and forth like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Does this sound reasonable? And then more formally will be the one-stop meeting, and then there'll be the actual permit applications.
I want to ask a question. When you apply for these permits, do you all still have to go, you said something about a one-stop. I remember a meeting for the very first project that we had when everybody was in the room. I mean, the folks from fisheries, the folks from the plant people, the wildlife people. I mean, everybody was in there represented, and Chris gave the presentation. Do you still have to go through, and everybody gets in one room at one time to do that, so that if there's any problem, somebody.
Yeah, so you still have to coordinate all of their schedules. Unfortunately, now it's all done through Zoom or WebEx. It's all a remote thing, so people hide behind their keyboards a little bit more. But you put together all of your permit documentation and give it to them, and then you have to coordinate everybody's schedules, and it usually takes a couple months to get everybody on the same page. You can meet at a certain date and time, but it will be all of the state and federal resource agencies, from fisheries to the turtle people, the fish people, the bird people, everybody gets into one room.
Yeah, I'll never forget that meeting though, and I'll remind you of this, and I'm sure it's well into your memory, where you were up there doing this and everything was going really smooth. And we had two borrow areas. We had the one down by Topsail Creek, and we had this other borrow area over here. And we were talking about that borrow area, and some some little gal from fisheries, I think, she couldn't have been more than 25 years old, I don't think, with a phone. It says, oh, we're probably gonna have a problem with that. And everybody in the whole room just froze, and it was like, there's a P&A there. And when that P&A thing came up, everybody was like, oh my God, everybody just turned white. And that thing did come back, and that was a problem.
I ran across the video of us pulling the dredge across that,
Yeah.
the time lapse video of that the other day. It's on the phone. I was watching that when we rolled the dredge over. Everybody said they were expecting us to make a mess, and
It was perfect. I mean, it was just, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Okay, I thought I'd remind you of that. I'm sure you dream about it every once in a while.
Other than those two events, we are continuing on with our quarterly surveys. I think we're due for those in January, I believe, is the next survey. So they'll be coming up after the new year. Go through and refresh all of the channels, survey those, see what the shoaling is, general alignments to provide an update from town on that. And I think that's kind of covers what we have going on with you guys. Yes, sir.
I'll be curious to see what you find in January.
Mhm.
I'm not the world's best boat captain, but I couldn't make it to the inlet last week at low tide. I mean, I just couldn't find
Okay.
enough water to get there. So I'm just curious.
I think the last surveys we did was following, the northeast survey we had in October. And I believe we did a color contour map for you guys. The channel, I'm assuming you're coming from Banks Channel behind the island and trying to get over to the inlet. It swings pretty hard west, or it used to, and it may have shoaled in since then. That's something we'll go and look at, but that's been the hotspot area, and that's what I'm alluding to with the adaptive management plan, because that channel, when we originally dug the inlet for the second time, we had more of a straight line that kind of came off the inlet and went back towards Topsail Creek. And the Corps came in with their side caster as we were going through the permitting process and dug that channel that goes parallel to the back of the island to Serenity Point and wraps around this bit of the island right there where our connector channel is now. And they said, this is the new deep water, this is natural water. So that's where we had to move our permit application to change it to that area. In a rush, we had to go back and collect new Bible before we could new geotech, trying to throw a wrinkle in the project a little bit. But we got all that done and permitted, and that became where our set channel alignment was as we went through the whole build up to the full 30-year project that we completed, CBRA project. In October, sorry, the CSM, the Coastal Storm Mitigation Project that we finished with weeds. As we've gone through, every time we dredge that channel, it fills in pretty quickly. The sand comes around the spit of the island and fills that area, and it constantly wants to shift further closer to Topsail Creek. So the idea is if we can not have that channel set in stone where it is, right on the backside of the island, and move it and kind of adjust to where it naturally wants to be, we should hopefully get some more longevity out of that area. So,
Does it seem like the south end is building a hook? That's what it looks like to me.
yes, the natural barrier process is sands eroded from the oceanfront side. It's going to wash into the inlet, and it kind of comes around and builds first that big, sandbar that you see that goes straight off the island, and then that starts hooking around to the backside. So if you look at a barrier island, you'll see kind of curvature of vegetation. And that's where that dune system used to be, is it curved around the island. So sand kind of builds out, wraps around, and then slowly comes around to the backside. So you get this big traditional, it's called a hand bone shape, but the end of the island is really fat and it thins out. So you get the hand bone classic barrier island shape based on that sand principle.
Any other questions or comments? That's inside the polygon, right?
Correct. Correct. So you don't want to hamstring yourself with not enough volume to complete the project we want to do, but because it is primarily a navigation project, we want to make sure that we're keeping the channels open as long as possible between the iterations, and anything we can do to extend the life cycle of the project, well, it might not be the best thing for us with project management costs. It's better for the town, it's better for the environment to be able to string the projects out to 4 or 5 years in between, because it lets the channel kind of naturally rebound. it lets you guys build your coffers up more, you know, with saving for the next project, and you're not doing another 2 or 3 years, that you can do that 4 or 5 year return time is better.
Any other questions or comments? I do want to make this comment that I was at the CRC meeting, as was Frank Braxton. We were both there. And it was the first thing on the agenda on Thursday morning. And I was sitting there and I was wondering, where's Jamie and Chris? Because I didn't have a top hat or a cane. Do have soft shoes. And so I was very relieved to see you fellas come in because, but you came in right on time, and Chris made the major presentation, or he made the presentation. Jamie was there to back him up. And the chair, Renee Cahoon, did say at the end, you had a very envious plan. So you did bring in the environmental side of things. We do maintain a bird survey and a vegetation survey. And you pointed out that the south end is there intact, and that environmentally speaking, you have the ability to go underneath the roads. You don't have to go across the south end to do that. So I think all of those contributed well too. Thank you guys a lot. And I did want to compliment you. Last time we had a public comment questioning the erosion at the south end, and the beauty of it was that you all were able to have a dialogue, live dialogue, to answer the questions, and so I thought that was most helpful. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. The next thing that we have on the agenda is the water management task team. And this is a team that was requested by the Board of Commissioners, that we have a subgroup of BIS, and to look at flooding. Well, obviously there's overlap between storm water flooding and also tidal flooding, but our primary gist is with the tidal flooding, but the two are kind of interwoven. And we had our first meeting yesterday. And I just kind of want to give you a brief update. It happened yesterday afternoon. Peter was not able to go because he was in Costa Rica, but Ed was here and I was here. Tom gave a great presentation, and Jamie was here, and Christina, and Mayor Braxton as well. The mayor gave a brief introductory remarks about what his expectations are for this team. We would call this team a task team rather than an ongoing team, because we have a specific task that we're trying to accomplish, hopefully within a 6-month time frame. And the goal is to review the current information, and then deliver a summary to the commissioners about where we think the next steps would go. So yesterday was our first meeting, and I want to compliment Tom. He did a presentation yesterday based on the most recent engineering work that was done about stormwater flooding. We focused, and Ed, you chime in anytime because you were here. We focused on the 8 outfalls that the town has, and where they are. All of them are basically from town center south, except for the tower at Queens Grant, and then I think Nixon was the other one. Not all of them are prone to flooding, so we were going to go back and identify that. But we came out of that meeting with some action items, and I'll just kind of review the action items that we came out of that meeting with. Jamie, did you get a chance to see this?
I did, yeah.
Okay. One is that Surf City has had good success with water infiltration systems. So we want to talk to Kyle Brewer about the process he's using, whether it's RCCP money, whether it's public safety money. We're not going to go competing with him for grants. We just want to understand what they're doing. Then Tom is going to put together a tour for our next meeting to physically look at the outfalls on place. Our proposed tour date is January the 28th. Low tide is at 11:30 that day. So we want to make sure we do it at low tide. And then the other thing that Tom and his Department of Public Works they're going to go and flush those outfalls and camera scope them to see what the condition is right now. So that's an action item for Tom and his department. We're also going to go back and educate ourselves about what are the check valve options for these pipes. We've heard about a duckbill, we've heard about flappers, we've heard about maintenance that's required. We want to go educate ourselves on what is available. Identify which outfalls have storm ponding and which have tidal flooding and which have both. So we're going to look at that. Then we're going to look at one of the things that Tom brought up was we have some DOT engineered infiltration systems that are kind of, Tom, would you say weak?
Yeah.
What weak and outdated and maybe need some maintenance. So we're gonna one of the things is to identify where we have those flooding issues that are DOT related and require maintenance. And one of our other action items was to Christina possibly set up a meeting with our state representative to discuss headwinds that we have. Is that the right term? Headwinds that we have for getting some of the maintenance done. Then the next action item was to integrate some of TI Coastal's topographical data that came from that LiDAR survey 2 years ago. And we think that we may be able to pull that data and overlay into the town's GIS system. By overlaying that with what Tom already has, then we can see where the matches are. Then the next thing is on TI Coastal, define the modeling that we may have to do. And then let's have a discussion on where the town and TI Coastal interface on that, because our objective is not to spend money, but our objective is to understand what things cost. So there'll be that. Then evaluate the alternative solution that's been proposed for Rocky Mount. And then Tom, you wanted to talk a little bit about pipe dimensions and length for Nixon Avenue. So those are our action items that came out of the meeting. So I felt like that. Ed, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I'm very, very interested in taking a hard look at those pipes. You know, I've been in the development business for a while and put in a whole lot of drainage. So be interested in how all that stuff looks. I have a feeling that some of the problems may be just because sections have broken, you know, have split and sunk a little bit.
Do we even know what kind of pipe they are?
I asked that question yesterday and I think Tom came up with some information at the end that some of the
We had
pipes
descriptions for some.
Tom, can you come up here so we can cross-examine you?
but one was supposed to be a steel pipe. And I thought, well, you know, if they're all coming out at sound, why couldn't you just go to the sound, look at the end of the pipe at low tide and find out if it's concrete or metal or what? But
Sure, like I said, we have descriptions and size for some, but not all. And that's one of the things we hope to accomplish with having all the pipes cambered is we can get a better understanding of what we have, you know, because we don't know any fail points, we don't know how much they're clogged or, you know, even what the material are. So
the interesting thing that I found was there was like on one of these, I guess at the Florida outfall. No, not one, the Florida, that had none. I forgot which one had 14 inlets.
the one in town center that discharges back on Ward has 14
14 places where the
14
water
inlets.
comes in.
and then the one in Florida, which is another trouble spot, has 9 inlets. So,
Is there any, engineering forms in the archives from when they were put in? And
DOT
what the
doesn't.
idea behind it all was?
DOT doesn't even have any of the records. When I met with them, they basically was, when you find out, let us know.
Well, what we did find out, and Tom walked us through it, is the town now has a pretty robust GIS system with this information on it. And so we've got a real good
And
start.
it's all overlaid. I mean, it's really cool because you can look at one thing at a time and then you can overlay it.
Yeah, that has all of our stormwater, all of our water assets, all of our street signs, so, it has.
It's still a work in progress too.
Is it publicly available or just?
It's not, it's actually part of our work order and asset inventory system that we just got, so.
Tom, did you have any other comments about?
I don't, I'll agree, I felt like it was a very productive meeting. Like I said, I like collaborations where it's not just Public Works taking a look at it, we're getting fresh eyes, different solutions and, solutions to problems, so.
Christina, I asked you, did you have any comments about the meeting yesterday?
No, I think you've covered everything. I think it's evident what our goal is and what we're working towards. And I think the collaboration with all the different, between TI Coastal, Public Works, and all of the studies that we've had done, I heard the term analysis paralysis a couple of times, but it looks like now that might be working in our favors. We have some data, we can just kind of all get it in one place. So I think we're all excited about where this is moving towards.
Thank you.
Can you explain how that tower at Queens Grant is involved in this? That doesn't
There,
make any sense.
well, there is an outlet pipe there. On Tower Avenue, is that correct? But there is a pipe that goes into one of the canals there. And that.
There's like a little dip right by the tower and it has a drain in the middle of it. Let's see what it is.
We have two inlet pipes that tie into whatever's in Queens Grant. We just don't have the Queens Grant system on this. That wasn't part of the study.
That tower's way up.
But you know where the outfall is.
Yeah, we know where the outfall is. It's.
Right next to the bench pipe.
The dredge pipe is another canal over.
That's where
Yeah.
that's where it is.
Yeah.
That's where the outfall is.
Is that the dredge pipe?
Both.
The bench pipe and the outfall come out of the same bulkhead, about 5 feet from each other.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And if somehow it gets from the tower to there?
I don't know if is there.
No, it's in front of Tower Court.
Yeah. it's
That's
not-
the name.
The tower has nothing.
Not the tower, yeah.
That's why. I thought you said the tower at Queens Grant.
I did.
I'm going.
I wouldn't leave
We
you
gotta
astray.
put some gutters on it.
Alrighty. So that's pretty much an update. I think our next meeting, we were talking about the timing for the next meeting in January the 28th. And, all the materials that we sent out, I forwarded to you, Jade, and also Peter. And there are a lot of materials. So we'll continue on with that. Connie Foran, the BIS fund, do you have an update for us?
Is there any money left in it?
That's your hope so. So for our vigilant and sound revenue for the month, we have $393,007.56. The majority of that is our ad valorem taxes. We're about at 50% collection on that. We should be picking up quite a bit here because January 5th is fast approaching. So that means that people will have to pay an additional 2% on their taxes. So I'm hoping to see that. Our accommodations tax are, I think, pretty much on level. Of course, we're not getting very much of that in right now. The parking revenue for November, we collected $7,050, and the interest earned on the CDs that we have for BIS was at $12,202.14. I do feel like we're probably going to hit a good 140, if not a little bit better with our interest for the BIS, which, we're pleased with. The BIS, expenditures for the month was 103,982.72. I'll let Tom speak to the maintenance repair structure, where we're at with that a little bit later. The actual professional service and audit, was, accumulation of the 64,400 post-storm nor'easter survey that we did. And also our regular surveying that we did in the bird, included in that was 15,942. And then we also paid our lobbyists $3,075. So that brought it up to the 83,472 for your expenditures in the BIS under that line item. We have fund balance right now. We have 7,765,3330, and that was at the end of November.
Can you say that number again?
7,765,330.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you. Okay,
Any questions?
that's right there. Thank you.
Any questions?
Nothing out of the ordinary, other than, of course, we knew about the nor'easter survey that we did.
And that was already a part, or there was a provision in the contract that allowed for that to.
Everything should just.
Correct.
It will be covered, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
These reports has gotten a little bit easier for you.
Yes, sir.
You still owe us a credit though, right?
Well, to look for a year-end total of 140,000 on interest is
That would be
very impressive.
Yep.
Good,
Excellent.
good trajectory. Thank you very much. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is discuss and adopt a 2026 meeting schedule. I think where we are is currently the third Thursday of the month. And John Best and I think Joe Bell are also interested in if we can make an adjustment so that that occurs, our meeting occurs on the same week as a commissioners meeting. And we'll just throw that out for discussion and see if there's interest in changing our meeting schedule to accommodate that.
Is there another committee meeting the day after y'all meet, like on that Thursday? Are there any other regular meetings?
Not on that week.
Then I suggest we just move our meeting to
To
2 o'clock.
the second
On the
Thursday of every month
Yeah,
at 2 o'clock.
just so it go, the day after the commissioners meeting,
Do you
if
want
that works for
the
you.
second Thursday or the Thursday after the commissioners meeting? Because there's a difference there.
Thursday after the commissioners meeting, okay, but is there a difference there?
Some months start on a Thursday, so
Like for instance, in January, the second Thursday is the 8th, where the commissioners meeting would be on the 14th. Is that correct?
I think the intent is so people can plan trips and stuff and they're 2 weeks apart. You can, so yeah, it makes sense that it would be the Thursday after the commissioners meeting. So their dates would set precedent.
Yeah, and ours could fluctuate just like theirs. Couldn't it?
Well, there's no fluctuate.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So the goal is to get both board commissioners, BIS means the same one. So that he can go to Costa Rica second week of every month.
But
Yeah,
you know,
I understand by adopting this schedule today, that we will be the schedule, but obviously if things come up and they need to be adjusted or canceled or, moved in any way, that can be done throughout the year. That doesn't lock you into these specific dates.
and then the other thing too is, I think it makes sense because 2 of the commissioners are on this board.
But it
So-
probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
The only thing is that I have my other board meeting on the third Thursday of every month, so that was my board meeting day. Now I'm all messed up. But it's okay.
I was just throwing that out as a proposal.
All right, so,
It makes sense to me.
so does anybody have a, motion to adjust our schedule to coincide with the week that the Board of Commissioners is?
So I'm make that motion.
Second,
It's gonna be in the afternoon, still 2 o'clock.
You're not messing around.
So we have, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. No further discussion, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
That's the second Thursday.
Or this Thursday after
After
the
the
Board of Commissioners meeting.
it might
We'll
be,
send you out a calendar invite.
You know, Jade, you may have to fill in on the 15th because I'm going to be out of town on the 15th, or we can not have a meeting in January. So
the 15th of January?
When's the survey?
Well, turn you down for the team.
well, the survey gets done and then posted on the town's website.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be done during the month of January. Get a good couple weather days together and check it.
So we've agreed that we're gonna have it the same week as the Board of Commissioners. And then I'll put you all on notice, I'm not gonna be there for that first meeting, so we can decide to cancel and, or Jay will lead us. Okay,
Either or.
What day will it be, January?
that would have been January the 15th. Alrighty. Let's see, next item on the agenda is unless we have further discussion. Otherwise, the next item on the agenda is the beach vitex. And I don't know if you've got much of an update this time of year.
No, because they, have stopped the treatments for the winter. We're kind of going back to the drawing board, sort of tightening up things. There was some miscommunication, on the first part of the project. So we're making sure now that everybody's on the same page. When you have 3 towns working together with a contractor, that those things happen. But, we're just working behind the scenes now to get all of our data correct so that when they do come back in the spring, then they'll know exactly which lots they need to go to and which can be treated, which has permission, waivers signed. So really, there's not much going on between now and probably March.
Got a question. Christina, I know you have an interactive map, and I've taken a look at that interactive map that's on the TISP website.
Yeah.
What is your approximation, and I'm not gonna hold you to this, but what was your approximation on percent complete overall?
Of treated?
Mhm.
Probably not very much, to be honest with you. I'm gonna say, we might have had 15-20% maybe completed. They were only able to get here. They came out one time to do treatments in Topsail Beach, and then they waited a good 6 weeks to see how those treatments worked. And so that they can determine what was the best course of treatment, which chemicals to use. So that kind of pushed them out a little further, I think, than they had anticipated originally going in to start treatment. Once they came back and figured that out, they then determined they were going to come back and spend a good 2 weeks in Topsail Island to do starting in North Topsail and working all the way down towards Surf City. But then that was when the October 10th nor'easter came through, and they only got about 4 days of work done. So just it didn't happen the way I think we all had anticipated the progress going in that first treatment season. So we're looking to be much more simplified and everybody being on the same page when we move forward again in the spring.
Well, I have one other question. The other question is, it was a 2-year grant. So does that mean that we have to complete all the work in 2 years, or can the project go over to year 3 based on the money that
Yeah, I mean, that's grant funding, so of course, we're restricted to the 2-year contract at this point.
Okay.
You know, with grants just in general, not particularly the CDSM grant, but, you know, something arises that is, you know, out of the ordinary, and you can always request an extension. Now, whether that's granted or not would be out of our control, but I don't think we're gonna have any problem getting to do all the treatments that need to be done on the specific lots. I think we'll be able to make it.
And do we have the ability to, for all of the lots that were part of the original grant, do we have the ability to say, yes, I've got the approval to get on their property or not?
Right. Well, we have the ability, but we don't have the waivers yet for everyone.
Okay, so is this not the time when we should be chasing the waivers?
And we are.
Okay.
That's part of the work kind of going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
You might want to remember too, that 690,060.50 is part of this money that we've received. So that reflects in the BIS fund balance, just the fact that it is in our bank account. And that's where we'll be remaining until we start paying out.
Now, we've already received the funding from the state, the grant funding, the total amount. So, basically, we'll be paying bills from that as they come in.
Getting interest on their money.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coordinating that for the entire island.
You're welcome.
Betsy, did you have a question?
Okay, question. How much opposition are you getting from people that need to have the work done, but they're saying, I don't want you on my property, or I think this is good for my erosion control?
Here in Topsail Beach, we haven't had any problem with it.
Okay.
It seems to be that there's a lot of education out there that this is a bad thing and you don't want it on your property and you don't want it on your neighbor's property. So we haven't had any problems. I don't know about Surf City. They seem to be doing really well with obtaining their waivers, so I don't think there's any issues there. There has been some opposition in North Topsail Beach, specifically from one particular group. So, but right now, that's all I know. I think everyone's really excited.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I've heard lots of opposition, you know, but maybe the education has worked.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
yes, I would say there was a lot of opposition. I will say that, and to even go further beyond that, we have a lot of residents who are not on that windshield survey who are very upset that they're not going to be included in the treatment. So I think we have kind of the opposite here, which is a good thing.
Well, we're hoping, I guess, I'm sure you're hoping this whole thing is behind you, but on the other hand, we're hoping that we can get a grant to follow up.
Yes, that is the plan.
Yeah.
The one that was very problematic about the beach vitex in North Topsail, lost most of the beach vitex during the October Northeasterly.
Yes, they did.
So, they lost most of their due.
They're now a threatened structure.
Yes. And are spending roughly $1 million in sandbags.
Yes, it's difficult. And that was one of the things that came out of CRC meeting, is how quickly that they tried to help and respond on things like sandbags. We're fortunate we don't have those problems. Okay, so that's the Vitex, and Christina, thank you for leading that. I know there's not a whole lot of positive reinforcement about that, but we do appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The next thing is an update on the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission. We had a meeting just last Thursday here in this room on TISBC. The membership for TISBC is roughly 3 per town, and with an alternate. And Right now, North Topsail is in kind of a state of flux because they had a, changeover in their town administration. We were able to have Rick Grant, who's the current mayor, attend last week as part of North Topsail. So it's gonna be Rick, well, we're not sure exactly.
You don't want the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Larry Strother is also an alderman, and he is the vice chair for TISPC. In terms of our representation here for the town of Topsail Beach, John Best is going to be an alternate for us, and I think that's a great place for John because it'll get him on that trajectory of TISPC and what's going on there. Larry Combs is rotating off. I think Larry Combs has been associated with TISPC for 15 odd years. And so, in terms of recognition, our hats off to Larry, and the TISP voted to recognize Larry, as well as Mike Benson, who was the vice chair year before last, and also Tom Leonard, who was very active in North Topsail Beach as well. In terms of some of the things that we covered, you know, Warden Smith, and we're paying some of the bill for that. The three towns share the cost of Warden Smith with Congressman Mike McIntyre. And we talked a little bit about activities that they're doing, including the mapping issue on Cobra up in North Topsail. And they may need to go testify again for a subcommittee in DC on that because it's starting to get legs. The other thing that they've been very active on is trying to help Surf City with their, coastal storm risk mitigation project. And they got approval in the summer from the Army Corps of Engineers with their approved IRR report. But now it's floating around in the Secretary of Army's office to get final approval and then get Office of Management and Budget. So they're working, they're getting help on that. And it's not an easy thing to do. We also had a report from Maynard Nexon, and they had a really good report. Chris, I don't know if you've seen this or not, about the state of the Shallow Draft Inlet Fund and also the state of the Coastal Storm Damage Mitigation Fund, which there's no funding for this year. And there are concerns about monies drifting from the Shallow Draft Inlet.
I've heard that.
So
There's like 76 million right now in the shallow draft fund. Is unfortunately, I can hear something.
yes,
The shallow draft navigation fund is in good shape right now. There's $76 million in there, and that's a big pot of money for legislators to look at and go, why is it being spent? But what people forget is one of these projects can go 40 million, and half of it can go overnight. And these projects take 4 to 5 years to build up. You know, we got built up several years ago. Everybody was getting ready to do projects. That first 5 years of the Shallow Draft Navigation Fund, nobody had permits to do anything. And they built up so much, they spent $30 million on a dredge. And so there is concerns that will be, you know, somebody's going to go after that, or it's going to get shifted into the Coastal Storm Damage Mitigation Fund. The state really needs to step up on the CSDM. But unlike Shallow Draft Navigation, which is a user sponsored fund, all the money that's in the Shallow Draft Fund comes from boat registration and what we figured out to be gas tax that boaters were paying. So there's 1 cent of the gas tax. You go offshore, you're going to burn 200 gallons of fuel. And so the waterways are road. So that's how we came up with that. You know, they still haven't found a non-general fund source for the Coastal Storm Damage Mitigation Fund. The money where the FITEX and many other things, many other projects come from.
dune plantings.
Dune plantings, exactly. A lot of those things come out of that, and it seems like about every other year there's $20 million that goes into that. North Topsail Beach got $10 million of it, several years ago. I was able to do, the phase 4 section, which is the, 3.5 miles just south of the 210 bridge. Got that done. That was one of the early fundings of that, and so we were able to help them get that and get that built. But the state, we really need Maynard Nixon to push on that, as far as the CSTM, because Surf City's gonna need part of that for their, you know, there's the federal cost share, and then there's a local cost share, which is usually split between the state and the local. Right now, there's not a funding for that, so Surf City would be on the hook for the whole 35 to 45% that it's gonna be out of that 100 million. So they really need that, so if we can get Maynard next and push on that, that'd be great.
Is that how much their project's gonna cost? 100 million?
That's about where it's at, what they're saying now. It's close to 100 million. I have a hard time seeing how they're gonna spend that much money.
That's why I was surprised.
Yeah, so, but the project, the initial project, when it was going up in the North Topsail Beach, had gotten up close to 140. 6.5 miles of that was Surf City, 4 miles of it was North Topsail Beach, so 60% of that, you know, that 140, 150 number where you're sitting, so it's getting up there. I don't, they're talking about putting 7 million yards in Surf City. I don't know, I have a hard time fathoming that amount of sand. The pier is gonna be, you know, a boardwalk if they put that much sand out there. So it'll be interesting to see, but the last I saw as far as the lines, basically, the dune and beach system mimics what we have, that we spent, you know, 10, 12 years building. It mimics what we have here and doing it in one shot. So it may end up being that big a number.
Chris, we may eventually need some help from, Coastal, because last year Surf City used $15 million from the shallow dredging. Year before that, we used 18 million. And we may need you all's help with saying, well, and in 3 years, I guess it's 3 years maybe for us now, we'll be using another 15 million.
Yes, sir.
So somewhere where we can compile how much all our towns are looking for might be helpful.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Right. As part of the TISBC, we also get reports from some of our environmental partners, Carrie Allen in particular with the Coastal Federation. And she talked a little bit about, there is they've got a program out for resilient docks and piers. There's a link on the TISBC website for that. They also got a grant with NOAA to do a oyster lease study, and they're going to use Stump Sound as their study area. They're going to ask stakeholders to be a part of that process so they can understand the conflicting uses. And then let's see what else. Going back to the federal level, borders of the U.S. is getting redefined. So all these political things we're trying to keep. The next meeting is scheduled for January the 29th for TISBC. Okay. One of the things they're looking at is the FEMA Act of 2025, which any changes to FEMA is something we need to take close interest in. And so we're looking closely at how that, it's a bipartisan effort to change FEMA to get it more responsive. So something to keep our eyes on. Any questions about TISBC? All right. Let's see, that kind of brings us to the end of our agenda. Does anybody have any comments or public comments? Betsy, I know you've got it.
Squirming over.
Betsy and I have learned a lot this year.
One last thing, John, I do appreciate you taking interest in TISBC and so, okay,
I got a random question here that doesn't have anything to do with this. There's a radio station, I'm sure somebody in this room is gonna know. There's a radio station that says that they're based in Topsail Beach. Does anybody know why they say that? Is somebody running out of their house maybe, or a radio station? No idea. Nobody's ever heard it.
It's interesting.
What's the number?
97.3. It's, call it the dude.
That's it.
It's country music.
I've definitely heard of that station.
Yeah, I know the station. I'm not.
I listen to it and it always, you know how they always say where they're located and they go Topsail Beach.
I thought that.
And that's the only town they ever say.
That's the Wolf, you know, they do all the basketball games and football games for the Wolfpack. I thought that was 97.3.
Could be.
Well, you know, there's a Topsail Beach down in Florida too, maybe that's what they're.
Well, they got some good antennas. I have some good ones. I probably can figure it out in 2 seconds.
I just did a quick Google. It does say it's a country music station licensed to Topsail Beach.
Yeah.
That's
Does it say Topsail Beach, North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina, serving the Wilmington area. Interesting.
I just figured it was, somebody that lives here that, I mean, nowadays you can run anything off of laptops like the whole world. They might just run a radio station.
Interesting.
I always think it's cool when they say, oh, you know, like WKRP.
Say Topsail. They say it right. Did they say Topsail?
You're getting there.
I just
They don't
understand,
say-
William, you need to work on that now.
So, Betsy, this is what he does. He says, when he talks about North Topsail Beach, but then when he's talking about us, he throws more into the Topsail.
Yeah.
So
So
they understand what that is, Topsail.
He's distinguishing between the two.
he got me too.
Yeah.
All righty. Do I have an agenda to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Good meeting.
Hey, thank you all for your attendance. We got through quickly. Joe would be proud of it.